The initial version of the BMW X2 was not the resounding success that the German automaker may have anticipated it would be in the United States. Before it was taken off the market, its sales in the US lagged behind those of every other BMW SUV and sedan. Although BMW had the ability to give it a significant facelift similar to that of the larger X3, the company has instead chosen to concentrate on developing an all-new X2. So what's new, and when will the BMW X2 be available for purchase? Even while we don't know everything about the next generation X2, we do know that it will have a drastically different exterior design and that it will likely share powertrains and a new interior with the X1, which was just recently introduced to the public. This also means that they will share an FWD platform. BMW will be hoping that these modifications will gain a larger following than the previous generation of the X2 did. Evidently, the all-new X1, which is scheduled for release at least 1 year before the 2024 X2, is a vehicle that will provide us with a lot of information on what to anticipate from the sportier X2. We do not currently have a pricing for the 2024 BMW X2, but considering that the new X1 costs just over $3,000 more than the previous model, we should anticipate that the X2 will also see a significant price increase. If BMW decides to continue offering a front-wheel drive version of the vehicle, the price of the next model will probably start at close to $40,000. Add around $2,000 more on top of that for the X-Drive variant and the recently spied M35i, which is faster and has more power, and is likely to cost closer to $50,000. It has not been possible to get a comprehensive look at the new BMW X2's exterior design yet, but spy photos have revealed that it has undergone significant revisions. It's basically a scaled-down version of the X4, although it shares more design cues with the new X1, such as its headlamps and grille, which are squarer. We are fortunate that the size of the grille has been maintained at a reasonable level. However, the shadow line trim should be an option on lower trims and standard on higher versions. LED headlights and satin aluminum exterior trim are anticipated to come as standard on all models, just like they do on the new X1. The new X2 has a roof that slopes downwards and is clearly visible in the spy photos. However, the actual form of the taillights is difficult to make out because of the quantity of camouflage used. If you want to know what colors will be available for the new BMW X2, go no further than the color scheme of the newest X1. We are used to seeing BMWs in various colors, including jet black, Phytonic blue, Alpine white, and San Remo green. The X2 could also benefit from some of the X1's more distinctive hues, such as Utah orange and Cape York green. We won't be surprised if the new BMW X2's proportions mirror a similar growth spike to the one that we saw with the new X1. In fact, we expect it to. The previous generation of the X2 had an overall length of 172.2 inches, a width of 71.8 inches, not including the mirrors, and a height of 60.1 inches. That height was very low compared to some of the other competitors. Given that the new model is more obviously shaped like a crossover, we fully anticipate that it will be taller. And because the new BMW X1 has a curb weight of 3,750 pounds, we can anticipate that the X2 will have specifications that are comparable to those of its predecessor. It is anticipated that the engine that will power the new BMW X2 will be identical to the one that will power the new X1. As was the case before, this indicates a 4-cylinder engine with a displacement of 2 liters and a turbocharger. Nevertheless, the Miller production cycle is utilized in the new 4-pot engine seen in the X1. The utilization of both port and direct fuel injection, in conjunction with modifications to the geometry of the combustion chamber, results in increased outputs of 241 horsepower and 295 pounds-feet of torque. When compared, the previous generation of X2 28i vehicles produced 228 horsepower and 258 pounds-feet of torque. Hence, a healthy increase in torque has been achieved. The old front-wheel drive option has been removed from the new X1, which now comes standard with all-wheel drive provided by X-Drive. It wouldn't come as much of a shock if the new X2 followed in its predecessor's footsteps. Assuming that the new X2 will be equipped with the same outputs and the same dual-clutch 7-speed automatic transmission as the X1, it will be able to reach 60 miles per hour in around 6.2 seconds. We anticipate that a more more potent M35i variant will be introduced, given the spy images that have been taken and the positioning of the X2 as a sportier alternative to the X1. Since the previous model produced 302 horsepower and could reach 60 miles per hour in less than 5 seconds, and the power output of the current M235i Gran Coupe is the same, the new X2 M35i should be at least as potent as its predecessor. The new X2 will likely use the same platform as the new X1, which is known as the UK L2. Some features introduced in the most recent model of the BMW X1 include the recalibrated steering, improved axle kinematics, aluminum hydro mounts, and a 3-link rear suspension system with a rear axle subframe. On the other hand, the X2 may have a sportier suspension tune, which would mean sacrificing part of its agility on bad roads in exchange for better reactions on smooth asphalt. We have not yet had the opportunity to inspect any portion of the BMW X2's cabin, but our anticipation levels are high. The previous generation of the X2 had a cabin that had a premium feel to it and a logical layout, but it lacked the design flair of its rivals. We've been fortunate enough to have a decent look at the interior of the brand new X1, which appears to be a considerable improvement. Not only is it more attractive to look at, but the technology completely outclasses the previous model. It is possible that the X2 will take on the curved display introduced on the new X1, which features a 10.25-inch instrument cluster and a 10.7-inch central information display. The current version of the BMW's iDrive software will be used in the infotainment system, including dazzlingly updated visuals. Both the navigation system and the intelligent personal assistant have been updated to include new features. The navigation system now has a new option called Augmented View, and the intelligent personal assistant has expanded the types of instructions that may be requested via voice commands. The new BMW ID allows for an increased level of personalization in comparison to its predecessor, and it also supports upgrades delivered wirelessly over the air. Similarly to the X1, the X2 should have a dual-zone climate control system, active blind spot detection, a power tailgate, forward collision warning, and park distance controls as standard equipment. There is also a possibility that the X2 will feature specifications that are marginally higher than those of the X1, but you should be prepared to spend extra for extras like a head-up display and a surround view camera system. Well, what do you think of this new model? Do you think the X2 will be well received this time around? That's all from this video. See you in the next one.